Hello and welcome, I'm on Fun and I'm a veteran gem blender. I continue to try to make up new obscure decks to test out whatever Gem Blenders has to offer, and this deck is no different. And I tell you, this deck has swept me right off my feet. It is swift, it is consistent, and it is mean. And it won me my very first locals. Thank you to Ben for making this possible for me to play remotely at my very first locals in New York. This deck in particular came out of an urge to figure out what Claire could be used for. Claire is a level 3 hero with an effect that allows you to attach an additional gem to her, but then also ends your turn. Which is a mediocre effect at best and a far cry from her glory days. Back then, before the official release of set 1, she used to be, firstly, a level 4 hero. Secondly, she could attach the additional gem to anywhere on your field, it was not limited to herself. And thirdly, it did not end your turn. This, of course, meant she was both strong, but also much more versatile. You could slot her into a number of different decks while not losing the firepower or losing the consistency that you otherwise do today, because you cannot use first turn effects like Fatima and Judith in combination with Claire herself without using other action cards or effects. That meant that back in the day you could expect to run into her on a regular basis, while today she is practically never played. So the question I was left with was, how can I build a deck around her to find her niche? And from this starting point, I began to brainstorm and construct decks around her strengths. A deck that benefits from her aggression while having inherent consistency. What I ended up with was Wood Ghost. Wood Ghost is a level 3 blend with a whopping 4 attack, but with the negative effect of not being able to attack blended heroes. In other words, Wood Ghost benefits heavily from the additional extra gem that Claire puts down, meaning that you can already get Wood Ghost out on turn 2, minimizing the amount of time that their opponent has available to them to put down a blend. And also, because the deck focuses on a low level blend as the main star of the deck, there is a lot more room for consistency tools and lesser need for consistency tools, leaving space for a lot more fun. First and foremost, the deck is only running 3 different types of gems, which means it's really easy to just find them all. To help with that, we are running Gloria, which is a level 1 hero with an effect that says to discard a level 2 or 3 blend from hand, and then go search your deck for a gem that was in that blend's gem makeup. And since consistency is so easy to achieve, we are freed up to make room for other needs such as positioning, where we are running into SILAS. SILAS is a level 1 hero with the effect Holy Winds, which allows you to switch your heroes whenever you attach gems to them from hand. And that works really well for this deck because you're already running a lot of gems, because it's an aggro deck, so you want a lot of gems in your opening hand, meaning you have a lot of gems to spare. Which brings us to our final starting hero, which is KULA. KULA has the effect Scavenge, which allows you to discard a gem from hand and then search your deck for a 0-star action. This effect allows us to consistently search out for a blend search into Wood Ghost if you don't draw into them naturally, so you're always ensuring that you can get the deck running at a minimum. KULA also allows us to pick up cancels more consistently to win out cancel wars or stop our opponent from getting ahead, and also the one-off actions like Struggle Switch to get round 2 advantage, or simply to stop aggressive decks from overburdening you. To round out the blend line, we are running Cone, which allows us more consistency when it comes to gems, because it can both be turned into Terra and Cryo through Gloria, but also Nocturna through itself when you blend it. Ghost, also because of Gloria, but also because it can shut down a lot of decks where they rely on their backline heroes effect consistently. And last but not least, Virus, because it's a menace to society. With its effect, you can sometimes force your opponent to put down a gem somewhere else where they would rather not, but are forced to in the meantime, or just take the 4 damage, and sometimes that can win you around 1 turn earlier. To complete the deck discussion, we return to the actions. I'm running a single return for the Torrent matchup, and sometimes to put a Ghost or a Virus down in between attacking with Wood Ghost. And then I'm running 3 stuns. Mainly because on turn 1 you can obstruct a lot of decks by simply shutting down their mandatory first turn effects, which might sometimes provide them their consistency and card advantage that they need for their deck to run smoothly. This also just runs thematically well with the deck since it's a menace. It's a menace to Gem Blender society. And then I'm running 2 force returns because I want to attack into non-blended heroes, and sometimes you need a little bit of help to make that dream work. To help with consistency and finding the stuns for turn 1 if needed, I'm running collects and then blend searches for whatever blend I need, typically a Wood Ghost. For the bench, the deck is running a Duke with free attack, which is massive and helps you to reach that 8 damage a turn, which helps it to win round 2 in 3 turns. Duke can of course only attack opposing heroes with a level 2 or lower than the amount of gems attached to Duke, which is fairly easy to accomplish because you don't need to put a lot of gems anywhere else, so that frees up space to put gems on Duke, which in combination with Struggle Switch and SILAS allows you the positional advantage to consistently attack with Duke and just getting that round advantage basically. The deck is also running Nancy on the bench for matchups such as Glacier, Ram and Anchor. For matchups where you need a little bit more switching, it's running Lester, which just allows you more switching. And lastly, the deck is running Jeffrey on the bench to just be a pain in the ass against certain matchups which I still have not played against. In conclusion, Claire works really well in this deck because it allows Wood Ghost to come out swinging, and focusing the deck around Wood Ghost as the main blend allows the deck space to focus on both consistency, positional advantage and responses to the opponent, giving it an edge in a lot of matchups. In this way, both Claire and Wood Ghost complement each other very well, and also shows that Claire actually has a niche even with her mega nerfed effect compared to how she was in the beta set. This of course doesn't mean I think Claire is a good hero, even if she proves her strengths in this deck. Alright, I just quickly want to show off how this deck typically wants to set up. We have Claire, KULA and GLORIA in the front and SILAS in the back. It doesn't really matter how you position the heroes, as you will be using SILAS Holy Winds to move them around once you're putting gems down, so don't worry about where your opponent's heroes are going to be. Alright, with our starting hands, we want to look at, we want all 3 gems, we want Wood Ghost, and as a perk, we would like Stun as well. Alright, we have all the gems, but we don't have access to Wood Ghost. This hand is perfectly playable. If we had this as our second hand, this would be fine. We would have a turn 3 Wood Ghost, though we wouldn't have the aggression of a turn 2 Wood Ghost, as we would like. Let's try new. Okay, this is perfect. Of course, we would like the stun, but this is perfectly playable. We have the Nocturna, we have the Cryo, and then we have the Virus. We can discard with Gloria to get the TERRAGEM. So what we're just gonna do is we're just gonna attach. We could just go directly into attaching both gems. We could also go for blend search to pick out a different blend for what we want to do later on that could then be transferred into a GLORIA gem, and that depends on the matchup. Here we're just going to play it very plain and just discarding the virus to pick up the TERRAGEM right away. So we can, you know, play GLORIA next turn for a new gem. And then we're gonna put down 2 gems. That's turn 1. Then we're gonna go for turn 2. Draw. Of course, we have Cone here, so we can put down TERRAGEM. We could transfer Cone into another gem, but we can also wait for GLORIA. Wood Ghost, and that's basically it. You continue to attack with KULA, you attack with Wood Ghost, move it around with SILAS Holy Winds as you want, put down more gems, you discard Cone for a gem, you play Blend Search for a blend, which you then transfer into a gem. Then you put those on KULA, the extra additional gems in hand, you discard to search for actions. That could be a return in the Torrent matchup. It could be collects if you want to dig for stuns. It could simply just be more cancels, which is the obvious go for in most cases. And of course you have the single struggle switch in case your opponent is getting hit or you're preparing for round 2. And then for round 2, what you're gonna do is sub out, and that's typically gonna be for Duke, GLORIA for Duke. And of course, we have had a few more turns. We're going to be in turns 5 or 6 at this time. And then you're going to have a lot more gems on Duke. You can struggle switch them, their position. You can move Duke around wherever you need it. And then you're just going to attack from there. And that's going to be 4 attack from Wood Ghost, 1 from KULA. So that's 5 during round 1. And then once Duke hits the floor, you're going to attack for 8 minus defenses and minus the turns where you are forced to attack into a blend or Duke might not work. And in those cases, you either go for Nancy, Lester, or Jeffrey, or you change the bench to your likability. And that's basically the deck. So thank you so much for watching and have a good day.
There's our fan. Hey,
I'm here. Hey!
Alright, Steve, taking our picture.
We're all fans of our fan.
Oh, that's good.
Come on, Ben.
Nice.
Get closer.
Undefeated in my first event.
I got undefeated.
Woo!
That's awesome. I think you understand.
Beautiful. Amazing. Thank you, Ben. Thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Yeah, no problem. It's fun.
Sorry, go ahead.